The chilly, sterile atmosphere of the Terranean palace felt oppressive against Aaron Gray's lungs as he plodded through its endless hallways. His hands were shackled with metal cuffs that bit into his wrists, quivering not from fear, but from the exhaustion that had settled deep within him. A former soldier and engineer from Earth, Aaron had faced many battlefields, but nothing had prepared him for the vast might of the Empire. Captured during the last desperate defense of his home planet, he now served as nothing more than a living trophy, a testament to the Terranean Empire's complete dominance. The Terranians had spared no effort in parading him through their capital, showcasing the once proud warrior now reduced to a symbol of their power. Yet Aaron was not broken. His eyes, dark with determination, surveyed every corner of the palace, every guard's routine, every possible exit. Survival alone was not enough. He needed to escape. The Empire's arrogance would be their downfall. As the guards dragged him deeper into the heart of the palace, the architecture transitioned from brutal functionality to something more ornate. Ancient murals depicting scenes of conquest and power lined the walls. The further they went, the more Aaron sensed a subtle shift in the atmosphere, a reverence, almost fear, that permeated the air. The guards, once arrogant and mocking, grew silent, their steps becoming more cautious. Aaron's interest was piqued. Wherever they were taking him, it was a place of significance. Eventually, they arrived at a massive door adorned with strange, glowing symbols that pulsed with an inner light. The guards exchanged uneasy glances before pushing the door open, revealing a chamber unlike any other. The room was vast, its ceiling stretching into shadows. At the center, resting on a raised pedestal, was an object beyond description, the Starbreaker. Aaron had heard whispers of it, a weapon forged by the gods, the ultimate symbol of the Terranean Empire's power. It was said to be inert, a relic from a bygone era, yet its presence was palpable. The air around it thrummed with energy, and Aaron felt an inexplicable pull in his chest, a connection he could not explain. "Stay here," one of the guards barked, shattering the silence. The group retreated, leaving Aaron alone in the chamber with the Starbreaker. His mind raced. This was the moment he had been waiting for. But what could he do against an entire empire, even with a weapon like this? Driven by desperation, Aaron approached the Starbreaker. Up close, it was even more imposing. A massive blade-like structure covered in intricate, shifting patterns. He hesitated only a moment before reaching out, his fingers brushing the cold metal. The chamber erupted in light. Aaron staggered back as the Starbreaker came to life, its dormant surface glowing with a fierce golden light. The energy surged through him, searing his veins and flooding his mind with a torrent of images. Wars fought long ago, civilizations rising and falling, and at the center of it all, the Starbreaker waiting for its true wielder. Aaron fell to his knees, gasping for breath. The vision subsided, leaving behind an undeniable truth. The Starbreaker had chosen him. The chamber doors burst open, and the guards rushed in, weapons drawn. But it was too late. The Starbreaker was alive, responding to Aaron's every thought. He stood, his hands no longer trembling, and with a single thought, unleashed the weapon's power. A shockwave radiated from the Starbreaker, throwing the guards back like ragdolls. The walls trembled, ancient murals cracking under the force. Aaron felt the weapon's energy coursing through him, granting him strength, clarity, and a terrifying understanding of his new power. The remaining guards scrambled to retreat, fear etched on their faces. They had been told the Starbreaker was a symbol, an artifact of a past age, but now they saw it for what it truly was, a weapon of unimaginable power, and it was in the hands of a human. Aaron wasted no time. He strode out of the chamber, the Starbreaker's energy forming a protective barrier around him. The palace, once a labyrinthine prison, now seemed to open up before him. Paths and exits became clear in his mind. The Starbreaker guided him, showing him the way out, and Aaron followed without hesitation. As he made his escape, he thought of the oppressed worlds he had seen, the countless lives crushed under the Empire's boot. The Starbreaker had chosen him not just to escape but to bring balance, to fight against the tyranny that had enslaved the galaxy for so long. The palace alarms blared, and the Empire's forces began to mobilize, but Aaron was already gone. A ghost in the night, the Starbreaker glowing in his hands. The rebellion had begun, and the Terranean Empire would never be the same. The shadowed corridors of the Terranean Palace echoed with the relentless blare of alarms as Aaron Gray moved swiftly through the labyrinthine halls. His pulse remained steady despite the urgency of the situation. The Starbreaker's power hummed beneath his skin, guiding his steps and making the impossible seem effortless. Each twist and turn felt instinctive, as if the weapon were leading him along a predetermined path. He knew he had to escape before the Empire fully mobilized, but there was a nagging certainty that escape was only the beginning. The further Aaron went, the more resistance he encountered. He faced groups of heavily armed soldiers at every corner, their faces a mix of determination and fear. They understood the significance of what was happening, even if they couldn't fully grasp it. A human wielding the Starbreaker was an impossibility, yet here he was, defying all expectations. "Stop him!" a voice shouted from ahead, commanding but tinged with desperation. Aaron didn't hesitate. He extended his hand, and the Starbreaker responded. A wave of energy pulsed forward, knocking the advancing soldiers off their feet, their weapons clattering uselessly against the ancient force Aaron now commanded. But he couldn't afford to revel in his newfound power. Every second counted. He continued down the passageway, his senses heightened. The scent of burning metal and the acrid tang of smoke filled the air, signs of the palace's internal defenses activating. The walls seemed to pulse with energy, likely designed to contain or eliminate intruders. But Aaron was no ordinary intruder. With the Starbreaker in his possession, the very fabric of the palace seemed to bend to his will. As he approached the next intersection, a voice emerged from the shadows, calm, commanding, but with an undertone of urgency. "Aaron Gray." He stopped, tightening his grip on the Starbreaker. From the shadows emerged a tall, imposing figure clad in the intricate armor of a Terranean elite. His face was stern, lined with age and experience, but his eyes held a glimmer of something unexpected: respect. "Do you know who I am?" the man asked, his voice low but authoritative. Aaron eyed him warily. "Should I?" The man's lips curled into a faint smile. "I am Lord Reeve, Supreme Commander of the Terranean forces. I believe you, and I have much to discuss." Aaron narrowed his eyes, calculating. This was no ordinary encounter. Reeve had chosen this moment for a reason. "I don't think we have anything to discuss," Aaron replied coldly, inching forward. Reeve raised a hand, not in defense, but in a gesture of peace. "You misunderstand me, Aaron. I am not here to stop you. In fact, I am here to help." "Help?" Aaron echoed, incredulous. "Why would you help me?" Reeve took a step closer, his gaze unwavering. "Because the empire you see before you is not the one I swore to serve. It has become something monstrous, something I can no longer stand behind. And if the Starbreaker has chosen you, then perhaps there is hope for the galaxy after all." Aaron hesitated. The weight of Reeve's words hung heavy in the air. Aaron's mind raced as he stared at Lord Reeve, struggling to reconcile the unexpected offer of aid with the reality of his situation. The Starbreaker thrummed with a barely contained energy in his grasp, casting eerie shadows that danced across the ornate walls of the chamber. "I don't see how you can help me," Aaron said, his voice laced with suspicion. "You're part of the Empire's elite. Why would you turn against your own people now?" Reeve's expression remained calm, though his eyes reflected a hint of sadness. "The Empire I served has changed. It has become a regime that thrives on cruelty and oppression, far from the vision I once believed in. What you hold, the Starbreaker, is a relic of immense power, but it's also a symbol of potential change. If the weapon has chosen you, then perhaps it's a sign that things can be different." Aaron's grip tightened on the Starbreaker. "And why should I trust you? For all I know, you could be leading me into a trap." Reeve nodded, acknowledging the validity of Aaron's skepticism. "Fair point. But know this, my actions here tonight are not just a personal risk, they are a gamble for the future of the galaxy. I've made arrangements for your escape and to assist you in rallying those who oppose the Empire's tyranny, but I need your trust to make it work." A tense silence fell between them. Aaron's thoughts churned with doubt and the weight of the Starbreaker's power. His instincts, honed by years of combat and survival, were at odds with the unexpected ally standing before him. "What's your plan?" Aaron finally asked, breaking the silence. "How do you intend to help me?" Reeves' gaze turned towards a hidden panel in the wall, which slid open to reveal a series of encrypted data pads. These contained critical information about the Empire's internal communications and the locations of key facilities. With this, you can disrupt their operations and find allies among the oppressed. Aaron nodded slowly, absorbing the information. "And where do we start?" "First," Reeves said, "we need to get you out of here. I've arranged for a covert transport that will take you to a safe location outside the capital. From there, you can begin your fight." As Reeve moved to a concealed terminal, his fingers danced across the controls. The walls of the chamber shifted, revealing a hidden passageway behind a bookcase. This passage leads to a maintenance tunnel. It will take you to the palace's underground docking bay, where your transport awaits. Aaron's eyes lingered on the Starbreaker, feeling its energy resonate with his resolve. He knew this was a pivotal moment, one that could determine the fate of many. "And what will you do?" Reeves' face hardened with determination. "I'll stay behind to cover your escape and sow seeds of dissent within the Empire's ranks. If you're to succeed, you'll need to be prepared for the battles ahead. The Empire's grip is strong, but the Starbreaker might just be the key to breaking it." With a final nod of understanding, Aaron stepped into the hidden passageway. The walls closed behind him, and he began the journey through the dark, winding tunnel. The dim glow of the Starbreaker illuminated his path, casting strange, shifting patterns on the walls. The tunnel twisted and turned, and the air grew colder as he advanced. The hum of the Starbreaker was a comforting presence, guiding him through the labyrinthine passages. Finally, he emerged into the underground docking bay, a vast, dimly lit space filled with the low rumble of machinery and the scent of fuel. A small, sleek shuttle waited in the bay, its engines idling quietly. As Aaron approached, the shuttle's ramp descended, and a pilot in dark, nondescript uniform stepped out. The pilot's face was obscured by a visor, but Aaron could sense an air of competence and readiness. "Commander Gray?" the pilot asked, voice modulated by the helmet's comm system. "That's me," Aaron replied, stepping aboard. "Let's get moving." The shuttle's engines roared to life, and the vessel lifted off from the docking bay, ascending through the layers of the palace's defenses. The capital city of the Terranean Empire receded below them, its spires and skyscrapers fading into the distance. As the shuttle broke free of the atmosphere, Aaron stared out at the vast expanse of space, the stars glimmering in the darkness. The enormity of his mission began to sink in. He was no longer just a captive. He was now the bearer of a weapon of immense power, and with it came the responsibility to use it wisely. The pilot's voice broke through his thoughts. "We're approaching the coordinates. I'll drop you off at the rendezvous point. From there, you'll need to make your way to the Resistance's base." Aaron nodded, steeling himself for what lay ahead. "Thank you for your help." The pilot gave a brief nod. "Stay vigilant, Commander. The Empire will not take kindly to your escape." As the shuttle descended towards the rendezvous point, Aaron's thoughts turned to the task before him. He had escaped the palace, but the true challenge lay in what came next. He needed to find allies, disrupt the Empire's plans, and ultimately, bring hope to the countless worlds suffering under its rule. The shuttle touched down, and Aaron stepped out into a harsh, alien landscape. The air was dry and arid, a stark contrast to the cold sterility of the palace. In the distance, he could see the faint outline of a hidden base, a beacon of resistance against the darkness that had engulfed the galaxy. With the Starbreaker in hand and his resolve strengthened, Aaron set off towards the base. The fight for freedom had only just begun, and he was ready to face whatever lay ahead. The harsh, arid landscape stretched out before Aaron Gray as he trudged towards the hidden base. The planet's surface was a stark contrast to the sterile, opulent interiors of the Terranean palace. Here, the sky was a blazing expanse of orange and red, the ground a mosaic of cracked, dusty plains and rugged rock formations. The rendezvous point was an old mining facility repurposed by the Resistance, As Aaron approached, he could make out the silhouette of the base against the horizon. A cluster of makeshift structures and camouflaged bunkers nestled among the rocky outcrops. The base was alive with activity. A stream of figures in rugged, military garb moved between the structures, their faces marked by the weariness of constant struggle, but also by determination. As Aaron neared the entrance, a security checkpoint came into view. A pair of guards, their expressions masked by the dust and fatigue of their relentless fight, scrutinized his approach. "Stop right there," one of the guards commanded, raising a hand. "State your business and identification." Aaron's hand instinctively moved to the Starbreaker, which hung in its sheath across his back. "I'm Aaron Gray. I was sent by Lord Reeve." The guards exchanged a glance, recognition flickering in their eyes. "Lord Reeve? All right, proceed. But keep your hands where we can see them." The checkpoint gate creaked open, and Aaron stepped through into the heart of the base. Inside, the atmosphere was a blend of tension and fervor. The resistance fighters, though worn from continuous conflict, operated with a sense of purpose. Makeshift control centers buzzed with holographic displays and tactical maps, while technicians and soldiers coordinated logistics and intelligence. Aaron made his way to the central command area, where a tall woman with piercing green eyes and a commanding presence was overseeing the operations. She looked up as he approached, her gaze assessing. "I'm Commander Alara Voss," she said, extending a hand. "Welcome to the heart of the Resistance. Lord Reeve sent word that you'd be joining us." Aaron shook her hand firmly, noting the strength in her grip. "Aaron Gray. I have the Starbreaker and the intel from the palace." Alara's eyes lit up at the mention of the Starbreaker. "Good. We've been expecting a game changer. Follow me." She led him to a room cluttered with data terminals and tactical maps. The walls were lined with photos and schematics of various Terranean installations. As they entered, Alara pointed to a large holoscreen that displayed a detailed map of the galaxy. "We've been fighting a losing battle," Alara said, her tone grave. "The Empire's grip is tightening, and their latest offensives have been particularly brutal. But with the Starbreaker, we might have a chance to shift the balance." Aaron placed the Starbreaker on a nearby table, its aura of power casting a faint golden light over the room. "What's the plan?" Alara began to outline the strategy. "Our intelligence suggests that the Empire is planning a major offensive to crush the remaining resistance and secure their control over several key systems. If we can disrupt their logistics and communication lines, we might be able to delay or even thwart their plans." "Where do we start?" Aaron asked, studying the map. Alara tapped a series of locations on the holoscreen. "We have a few key targets: supply depots, communication relays, and weapon manufacturing facilities. Each one is critical to the Empire's war effort. Your job will be to lead a strike team to hit these targets and create as much disruption as possible." "All right," Aaron said, nodding. "I'll need a team and support for the mission." Alara's gaze softened slightly. "You'll have access to our best operatives. I'll introduce you to them. But first, you should get some rest and prepare. The Empire will respond to any attack swiftly, so timing is crucial." As Aaron left the command room, he was introduced to his team, a diverse group of skilled individuals, each with a specific expertise. There was Jax, a former Terranean Special Forces operative with a knack for infiltration and combat; Mira, a tech specialist adept at hacking and sabotage; and Riker, a pilot with a reputation for daring maneuvers and quick escapes. Together, they began to plan their first operation. The target was a major supply depot on a remote world, crucial for the Empire's ongoing campaigns. The Resistance had gathered enough intel to suggest that a well-coordinated strike could severely impact the Empire's logistical capabilities. As the team prepared for their mission, Aaron felt a growing sense of responsibility. He had been a soldier before, but this was different. The Starbreaker was more than a weapon. It was a symbol of hope, and the weight of that hope was heavy. The night before their departure, Aaron took a moment to reflect. The base was quiet, the sounds of distant machinery and the murmurs of the Resistance fighters blending into a rhythmic backdrop. He stood outside, gazing up at the star-filled sky, feeling the enormity of the task ahead. A hand on his shoulder broke his reverie. It was Alara, her expression thoughtful. "Everything all right?" she asked. Aaron nodded, though he could feel the tension in his chest, just thinking about what comes next. Alara's gaze was steady. You're carrying a heavy burden, but you're not alone in this. We all share the weight of this fight. Just remember why you're here and what you're fighting for. I will, Aaron said, looking at her with resolve. Thank you for giving me this chance. Alara smiled faintly. Get some rest. Tomorrow, we begin the fight for our freedom. As Aaron prepared for the coming battle, he felt the Starbreaker's energy resonate with his own resolve. The fight against the Empire was just beginning, and he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. With his team by his side and the Starbreaker in his grasp, Aaron knew that he had a fighting chance. The dawn of the new rebellion was on the horizon, and the galaxy's struggle for liberation was about to begin in earnest.